Morning, Marilyn.
Mike, I'm going live here on YouTube, so give me 1 second before you officially start.
Sure.
I've logged in on my computer through Onboard, but I'm trying to figure out if I can watch Onboard while zoomed here or if I'm going to bring up my iPad next to me.
Okay, we'll call the order. Here we go. We'll call the meeting to order at 9 a.m. Becky, if you do roll call, please.
Mike Copine. John Nicholson.
Here.
Marilyn Shippert.
Present.
Keen Hudson.
Present.
Jack Scrogstad.
Here.
Mike Zeman.
Here.
If you would, please, if you have cell phones, mute them or turn them off. Thank you. Everybody had a chance to look at last month's minutes, and if so, are there any corrections or additions to be made? If not, they'll stand approved as read. Okay, visitors. Stacy, do you have anything that you'd like to bring up?
I don't have anything necessarily that I need to bring up. Just within our department, we're continuing to move forward with the new data program that we're hoping to utilize for all of our court cases and records. We're in a slow moving process in regards to the data conversion in this, and that seems to be our holdup at this time. I have a deadline date of being able to be ready to go by July 1st. So I'm sure with where I'm at right now with things, we're going to be beyond that date of July 1. But hopefully things will continue to pick up and move forward with that. Also, each year I prepare an annual plan for the state of Illinois, which gets filed with the administrative office of the Illinois courts. In that plan for this last year, I had requested an additional probation officer, and I had also requested that a salary subsidy position be converted to a grant and aid position. With that to happen, that would be a savings for the county for that salary subsidy to be converted to a grant and aid. Essentially what would happen is, instead of the state providing $12,000 a year for that salary, it would be reimbursed at 100%.
Oh, good.
Just received a letter back from the state. They had a chance to review that annual plan document. Both of those requests are being deferred at this time. They are waiting until the budget is resolved for this next year. I'm sure there's a lot of things with the pretrial services division that is newly created that they are waiting for. So I will keep you informed as I learn more about that.
Okay, thank you. On any issues that you are having in the transition of this and equipment and everything, is there anything that anybody here can help with?
In regards to pretrial,
Computers, anything like that?
the computers, I'm working with Paul in the IT department. That seems to be where our holdup is. There's a lot of security hoops that are being required for my contractual employee to jump through in order to obtain that data and make the conversion. So that's where I'm at right now.
So you could use a little backup on that from a different level?
Yes,
Or are you comfortable with where you're at handling it?
right now I'm comfortable with where I'm at handling it, but thank you.
Does anybody have any questions for Stacy? Thank you, Stacy. Mr. Lally.
Nothing for me, sir.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Lally? Does anybody have any questions on the claims reports that we have in file first? Okay, I guess not. Administrator and department head reports. Stacy, anything different than what you just reported?
Nothing additional.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Lally.
We used the EOC was used yesterday and the day before for training for Excel. So it's not only being used for Emergency Operations Center, it's also being used as a training center, which happens probably twice to 3 times a month on the average.
Wendy, I saved you for last. I should have taken you at the beginning, but
It's all right. No
it's
worries.
your turn.
No worries. As long as you got to me eventually, that's all I care about.
This way we'll have more time for questions.
Right. So the Chairman Olson asked me actually to give every committee a heads up this week. So I've been kind of given the same little report. We've had an opportunity to be involved in a planning grant. As most of you are aware, the COVID money coming down from federal government, there's a lot of it, and there's a lot of grant activity going on right now. And the county and the city of Dixon have had for some time on their radar the idea of a multi-use path between Dixon, Page Park, and Sauk Valley Community College. The city of Dixon, it's my understanding, they've got a private donor and they are moving forward with a multi-use bike path, let's call it, from the city of Sterling out to Sauk. They're moving forward with that. So the last leg of this would be the mileage between Page Park and out at Sauk. So we recently became aware of another grant opportunity that would allow planning for that leg to be filled if the county is willing to participate in it. The city, we had a meeting with last week regarding this, and the city has offered to partner with this because some of the mileage is in the city of Dixon, but most of it is in the county. Again, I want to be clear, this would be a planning grant that would plan all of the steps necessary to get a bike path out to Sauk. The construction of this would be a second phase. At this point in time, everybody wants to know what's the cost. The cost for submitting the grant itself is narrowed down to a benefit cost analysis that an engineering firm will be doing. City of Dixon has said they will split the $10,000 total cost with us. They will do $5,000 if we will do $5,000 towards that planning grant. This is something that, again, like I said, has been on the county's radar, even through our comprehensive plan. We have a Greenways Trail plan, and Black Hawk Hills has had this on their regional plan for some time, connecting these multi-use paths throughout the region. So this is an initiative that, the county has had for a while. The chairman asked me to speak with you on it. It's on the finance agenda and it's on executive's agenda for a decision. You may then therefore see it at the full board agenda. And the chairman at this point just wanted me to get the word out and open up the floor for any questions if anybody has any on the grant itself. Any questions? Mike, that's all I have that's not otherwise on the agenda, or?
Okay, thanks, Wendy. Sheriff, I see you're on via Zoom. Is there anything you'd like to bring up?
Just a couple of things that are on the agenda. One, we won't be doing submitting the annual report yet. The detectives and Civil Pros had some issues with the new database and getting the information they needed from last year. So I'll be submitting that in April. And then the other thing I was just going to bring up for discussion more formally next month is the fuel line item. I mean, obviously we know nationwide, worldwide, what the fuel costs are going up to, and we're obviously going to be short in that line item. We're not going to be able to get through the entire fiscal year with the amount of money that we have in there, but I'll have a better figure for you next month as to what that's going to be.
Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
As far as the update on abandoned properties and everything, I think we're sitting okay on that right now. I think there's some things that are still in the works and being worked on, so we won't worry about that. Anybody have any questions for the sheriff? Okay. Thank you, Sheriff. By the way, how is the knee doing? Hopefully you're getting around better.
Well, I'm zooming, so that ought to tell you it's not working as well as I hoped it would by now.
Well, if we see you walking in a circle, we'll help you out.
Thank you.
Mr. Boonstra, do you have anything that you'd like to bring up?
Nothing that's not on the agenda. No, thank you.
Okay, anybody have any questions for Mr. Boonstra?
I'm not under oath, so you don't get to ask it.
Okay, we have a topic here. I think what we're going to do in view of some information that's been shared with me is item B, EMA Windows 7 computers and replacements and everything. I think I would like to entertain a motion to have that table. Kevin, are you comfortable with that?
Process. Yes, with the process Wendy has in working on, yeah, I'm comfortable with that, so.
Okay,
Cost and estimate problem right now, Kevin, or Wendy, or whoever?
If you use the $10,000, which I had a reimbursement in the grant, it's gonna be about $4,000.
Above and beyond what you got.
Above and beyond the 10,000 reimbursement from EMPG grant.
Stopping right now and you want to.
Yeah, did they get that presentation, Wendy?
They did. You,
Okay,
so
it's
you
all
should-
in that presentation, John. It lays out where the computers are located.
Okay.
Some of them are, just a review, some of them are 9 to 10 years old, donations from Exelon and State Farm in Bloomington. So they're some pretty old machines. They're Windows 7. And I pulled those all off the network just to be safe with all the geotensions going on. Attacks are up about 400% on our nation with cybersecurity. So I pulled those off the network just to ensure that nobody intrudes through my space.
So just to clarify, the reason that I did speak with Kevin and the sheriff a few days ago, I found out some information recently that conflicts with the information that Kevin was provided by Paul Gorski. Paul is very concerned about any Windows 7 workstation on our environment from a security perspective. And that's why when he told Kevin that, Kevin pulled those from the network, which I appreciate. But the contract that we have now approved and are moving forward with for IT critical infrastructure services that you heard me talk about a couple months ago, within that contract, the contractor that we've got, the vendor that we've got has said that they will support Windows 7 and newer computers. So right now I'm a little confused with my lack of IT knowledge about whether Windows 7 is safe on our network or is not safe. And I asked Kevin to pull this back until I get some more clarity from that between Paul Gorski and Cindy O. So that's the only issue here. It's not whether the request is warranted or needed. It's really rather, is this something that we need to do in an emergency basis, or is this something Kevin could plan for with his budget this coming year and then, phase in that implementation come December 1 with the new budget year? For me, that is the only question that remains, not whether or not he needs these computers. So.
I'll second
With that
it.
explanation, I'll make a motion to table.
I'll second it.
okay. We have a motion to table it by Mr. Nicholson, seconded by Mr. Hudson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. So carried. I cut you out, Pro Tem? Oh, God.
I'm, doesn't matter. As long as somebody seconds it.
Okay, I don't have anything listed under new business. Is there anybody that has any suggestions?
Let me do an update on the UTV ordinance.
Yes, if you would like to.
I would love to. Okay, of the 22 townships that we have sent letters out to get ordinances for the UTV, I have 13 verbal. I got 13 of those 22 yeses that want to participate in the UTV ordinance. And of those 13, I have 5 actual written ordinances from those townships. And so the rest of just haven't gotten to it, or they weren't sure how to go about creating one. So it's just a matter of of waiting for them to put together the ordinance, and on their next meeting, sometimes it takes to the next month, but regardless what that of, and then I got 7 that I have no idea on. I haven't heard back from them, or they haven't gotten back with any other UTV member that's been in contact with them, so I'm unsure. And then I have 2 townships that are hard nosed. My most recent one was Nelson Township. And one of the questions that he asked was if we had any county roads that were, in the ordinance right now. And I says, no, we don't have the ordinance. But I did indicate, and I'm not for sure, maybe somebody here knows, if is Nelson Road or Railway Road a township road, or is that a county road? Does anyone know that? Off your head? But I think those are the only 2 roads that you can get into Nelson from. But
I've been away from it too long. I'd have to check too to see.
yeah, and so then our next spot would be then after we kind of find out a little bit more about these other 7, I was going to start then addressing some of the villages and cities that we have to get their permission. And if we don't have any access to Nelson, there's no sense of even reaching out to Nelson, because we couldn't get into their city anyways. So if they adopted it, our county ordinance, nobody could go to, from anywhere other than, then just drive around in Nelson themselves. So they would have to create their own and on their own. So, but that's where I'm at on that issue. So I'm hoping here. I'll also let them know that if somebody had a permit within Nelson Township and are operating on a roadway, the Nelson Township road that's not in the ordinance, they would receive an ordinance violation by operating on the roadway that is not covered. So that would be problematic for that particular person, if that's the case.
Hey, Jack, I have your answer on your questions for township or county roads.
Yes, sir.
So it's going to be confusing, so follow me. First of all, the easy one, railway is township.
Okay.
Nelson coming off of Harmon and coming in the backside of Nelson is township. But Nelson Road coming off of Rock Island Road into Nelson is county.
Okay.
So it's a little bit confusing, but if you're looking for just roadways going into Nelson, that's kind of the explanation there.
Okay. Well, that could be a possibility then, that for someone to access Nelson, they could only go in through Nelson Road then. So then I could still reach out to the Nelson Village, but that was my question.
Okay.
Was that. Yes, sir. Okay. Anyway, so that's where I'm at. Unanswered. Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions or anything? I'm starting to get questions from down around the Amboy area as to where we are with it. And I'm just responding that we're still in process with it. I said, we're at the township level trying to gather information there on who's willing to participate or interested in participating and going from there. And I think I'll just kind of stay in that status unless something drastically changes and we move forward with it in the last minute jump.
Now, just for, you're bringing up Amboy, Amboy Township, I haven't received any information. So Amboy Township is one of those 7 that I haven't heard anything from. So they may have spoken with Casey Considine on that and given him, yeah, we're interested, we just not for sure, but I've provided a sample of our ordinance, a Word document, and a copy of another township's actual ordinance, so they can kind of mirror that ordinance a little bit, so it would help them a little bit. They wouldn't necessarily have to have an attorney, so to speak, draft that up, so they can save their money on that particular issue. Charlie has looked at a couple of the ordinances. He seems to be fine with how some of them have been written. So accordance with what we're doing. So and then again, once we have the different townships, then I'll go to the actual city of Amboy and kind of discuss it. whether we're going to, how we're going to work our two different ordinances with theirs, how it's going to work. Do we have to pay it? Does the people have to have two ordinances or two permits in order to operate? So it's those little questions that we're going to have to negotiate and how we're going to work that out.
At the county level, then basically, are we somewhat ready to go to make a completion, or do we still have a lot of information?
We still, I personally am not comfortable about throwing it to the county board yet, because I don't have enough of the townships on board, because then you got to start throwing in additional, add-ons to the ordinances as other townships want to be involved. I'd like to get a hard no or hard yes from these townships. And then, of course, then with the different cities and villages. So we can know where these people can operate their UTVs on roadways. So, and have a good understanding of what's going on. I hate to, like I said, jump into it half-heartedly, so to speak, on that. So.
Anybody else have any questions? Sheriff, any more comments on that?
No, I think Jack's doing a wonderful job.
Thank you.
It's a bigger deal than what you thought, huh?
It was, yeah, I'll say that.
Well, there's certainly areas throughout the whole process that we're going to have pros and cons on. It's going to be a challenge to be able to complete it and get it in operation. But, haste makes waste in a lot of situations, and the more meticulous you get and the steady level of pace that you work at it, I think it is a better situation for us to come up with a good working ordinance or process. So keep up the good work. I echo the sheriff's comment.
Thank you.
Okay, still under old business. Sheriff, did you want to make any comments on the end of the year report?
Nothing more than what I commented on earlier. We'll have it for you next month.
Okay. Nothing else under old business, nothing slated for new business. Charlie, if you have anything on the fines and fees, I wasn't going to get too worried about it, but have you got anything on a new update for numbers?
Sure, yeah, I can give you some numbers. I don't remember the last time I gave the update, so I'll go back to December. The total collections received in December were about $2,804. Of that paid to Lee County was $1,761. In January, total amount paid to Lee County was $1,148.21. February, $1,600.82. The total amount received to date is $142,197. $142,197.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Boonstra? Anything else, Charlie?
No, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, John.
The only thing I got, Mike, is just to add to what you said about the land and properties around the county, just to let everybody know that it's not just languishing. Mr. Zollinger is already active on one property over in Compton. The committee decided on 2 properties and then to send out a bunch of notices, and that's where it stands right now. We kind of opted not to have meetings only because it saves per diems, and there's really not we can do other than meet and look at each other and say what's been done. So there's no reason to have a meeting if you're not. So it's in the works, but it's a slow process. So.
Okay, anybody have any questions on that? If you cross the path of a property that you feel that falls in that category, please make a a note of it and bring it to John or myself or somebody here, and we'll add it to the ongoing list of things that need to be addressed or approached.
We've got a list of about 10 properties that really require action right now, but we don't want to, we want to walk before we run. And so.
Right. They're going to be there. Some of the issues that are there have been there for 10, 20, 30 years. So I'd like to try and stay tuned in with the areas that do need some work.
You aren't going to forget about them. It's just a slow process.
Right.
It's my understanding that the gentleman involved with the old Sinwan Wyman building is starting to do some cleanup work up there. So,
Okay, if there's no other questions or anything, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved by Mr.
I'll
Hudson.
second. I'll second.
Seconded by Pro Tem, Mr.
Get
Scrogstad.
that back.
All those in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, you can stay here by yourself. Thanks, John. Everybody, appreciate it.
There you go, Jack. You can see everybody. Oh, white ass. It's hard to tell.